right, guys. Welcome back to the Good Stuff Podcast. We are again in a Pulte group home here in Amrine Meadows. Again with Eric Hill. Now that he's in Marysville, since that's where I like to be, thought we'd come back to talk. So, again, if you would like to introduce yourself, sir.
Yeah, well, I'm Eric Hill. Again, excited to be back. I was thinking earlier, I feel a little bit like Alec Baldwin must feel on Saturday Night Live, right? Like I'm a repeat. So I feel honored that we're back together again. Yeah, Pulte Homes. I've been doing this. I just had my 20-year anniversary in July, so that's hard to believe. I've been doing this 20 plus years already, but in a good way, it doesn't feel like 20. So I must enjoy what I'm doing, and which I do. So
in the circle of life, you're back to Marysville.
That's right. So I think I shared in the last podcast when I was still in Plain City how excited I was to get back. And now, I've been back 3.5 months. We grand opened this community in the middle of June, right around Father's Day. And I'm tickled to death to be back here. I think I shared in the last podcast as well, although I live north of Marysville in a lot of ways feels like home to me. So it's good to be back home.
Amen to that. Yep, I'm about 9 miles up, and I feel the same way. Where are you from? Marysville. Not Broadway, Ohio. That's right. About this big. But very good community. So how many? It seems like yesterday was this the first one, or was that one the first one?
This is the first.
This is the first.
Yeah. That's so good. the two model homes were built, and then we started with some quick move-in homes and got some construction started. That way, folks had the ability to select something already under construction. But we've since then sold just in 3.5 months 22 homes.
22, you're up to.
So yeah, it's been busy to say the least.
I was going to say, so yeah, I this one went somewhat quick, and then it seems like the successive ones so you've got 22 sold. How many are under construction right now?
Let me see. With the quick move-in homes, well, we've got a few of those 22 that aren't up out of the ground yet. So I'd say we're probably those somewhere in the 16 to 18 that are in some phase of construction, whether that's just at groundbreaking. We've got some in framing, some in mechanical stages. Actually, a couple of those that first sold that are getting ready to start drywall. And then, of course, those quick move-in homes that we started. I've got actually 3 of those that are nearing completion. So, if there's anyone out there who's looking for a home and looking to get in quick, I've got 3 homes that we could have you in within probably 30 to no more than 45 days.
Wow. And let me tell you, I didn't introduce myself. I guess I should probably do that. Hopefully you know who I am. But if not, Derek Schwinn, real estate consultant with Keller Williams Consultants Realty here in town. So I'm on the real estate side of it, any house out there. But I was just going to say, unfortunately, there's not a ton to pick from. There's getting to be more inventory. But one of the things to talk about is there's a projection that this year, new builds will be about 30% of the market. So definitely a choice if it fits where you want to be and what you want to be in. It's definitely a thing, and especially to be able to get into something 45 days, that's pretty quick, because looking for a house right now to get into that you like on the existing market, it's pretty the chances something comes up in 45 days is fairly slim. And all of those other things going on. Excuse me. So let's talk about the houses. So models, how many options do you have?
Yeah, there's 9 different floor plans we offer here. 2 ranch plans, 6 2-story plans, and then 1 5-level split or multi-level home. We start with our ranch plans around 1,650 square feet and 1,900 square feet. And then our 2 stories range anywhere from about 2,300 to as much as 3,300 square feet. And then every home has optional extensions such as sunrooms, gathering room extensions. So those square footages I've just shared can get even a little bit larger. And then I think one of the other bonuses here is every home includes a full basement. Now, it does start as an unfinished space, but the entire basement is there to begin with. So that's a really nice feature.
So you have a generic box, way more than generic box. But so I have never really gone through the process personally. What does the whole process look like if let's say somebody's out there tired of the existing market and they want to get into a new build and start looking at that, and they kind of, I always think, man, that's a lot of choices to make.
It is.
give some anxiety, some ease of what guidance do they have?
Well, for me, the first thing that I want to do is hopefully sit down and start to build some rapport and build a relationship and start to learn more about the customer's wants and needs. Yeah. And so then my job as the professional with 9 floor plans is start to narrow down and help the customer narrow down what it is that we have that's going to be a match or a fit for what they're looking for. So again, hopefully taking all the burden off of them. One of the things we talk about at Pulte is we want to make this process as easy as possible for you. And I know, again, doing this 20 years, we've all heard the horror stories of, oh, I tried to build once and it was this and it was that. And again, we want to remove all those obstacles. So I think more than anything, rather than just jumping in and taking you out to see a bunch of homes, is let's sit down and talk about your wants and needs and your budget and your monthly payment goals, and right?
I've heard that's the difference between professional and amateur. A professional will sit down and have the awkward conversation with you.
Yes.
Versus, let's just go look at stuff and you make the choice. Well, your 20 years of experience guiding people through and asking the right questions and having the right emotional tone to help them meet them where they're at to walk through things.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing to remember too, and I know I shared this on the last podcast, but my wife and I have built 4 homes over the years as well. So I always say to folks, guys, I've sat in that seat you're sitting in. I've had to face those same decisions, So again, never losing sight of that, I think, on this side of, realizing the emotional roller coaster that the customer might be on. And again, it's my job to do everything I can to ease that, make this a simple process and an enjoyable process, so. Yep,
very much. And that's one of the things I talk about on the podcast from time to time, and just with people in general about this process. There's a lot of emotions that come into it, and a lot of times people want to be savvy investors in the asset that is real estate, but usually the emotional memories, all of that stuff kind of tops the cake on importance. And so then finishes, and like my mother-in-law, she has, like, my father-in-law is kind of famous in the family, I guess, for wrapping the I forget what color it was, the old white stove and fridge in aluminum foil so she could envision what would stainless look like in here, and making mock-ups of furniture like a coffee table out of cardboard so she could envision it. What kind of assistance do you guys have in the process of going through that kind of stuff? Of how do you envision what your house is going to look like? And obviously this beautiful model has everything staged and looking really good, but maybe that's not yours.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, you just hit the nail on the head with the models. I mean, that's one of the ways, obviously, as people come through, they can begin to envision what their home could or would look like. I joke, I've often taken folks through, for example, this home under construction with nothing in it, and then bring them back and walk through this home, and often they think they're in 2 different homes, and they're not, right? Mm-hmm, they're in the same home, but it comes to life. So we put a lot of emphasis on our model homes. Again, that's going to paint a picture. We have a dedicated design studio where folks will go and spend time with our professional design consultants to select interior colors, exterior colors, different finishes. Exactly, professional being the key. The ladies in our studio have done this for quite some time. They're very good at what they do. They also stay up on the latest trends and the colors, and so I've always said they will be as hands-on or hands-off as you need them to be, depending upon your background and experience with things like that.
Yeah.
So in the models here, I have PDFs of all the different options available as well. So I can show you in advance even images of things. You'll see them firsthand and in person when you go to the design center, but the fact that you can also see selections in advance, again, back to that, making the process simple and easy, what you're choosing, what you're looking at in advance. So those are a handful, I guess, of the things that that we do to hopefully make the process easier. I just thought of something else when you were talking about the cardboard, the cardboard coffee table. So we have a feature on our webpage as well, where when you're looking at our interactive floor plans, there's a button you can click on as well, and it allows you to place furniture in the rooms. In other words, if you have a king size bed, it simulates and pulls over something that's the size of a king size bed, and so on. So again, folks can start to go, okay, this is the type of furniture we have, or we have a sectional for the gathering room, and start placing those, and it will help them to identify, is this enough space in this home? Does this work with either our current furniture or the furniture that we're hoping to purchase for this home?
Yes, very, very technologically savvy.
Yes.
Very, so 3D modeling and all of that stuff is great stuff. So here's an odd question. Have you guys gotten into the AI world of AI and using any AI stuff? Or?
Not at this point. Now, it's not to say maybe some of those things aren't coming. I know, things that are beyond me and above my head, and
it's crazy.
Yeah.
I was on it the other day, and the variety of things that you can ask it is quite impressive. And from marketing to business planning to like writing code and all that kind of stuff. It's amazing how. It's as diverse as the information on the internet, basically.
Exactly.
But anyway, so what's your favorite model out of the 9 models?
Oh boy, that's putting me on the spot.
Hey, you're welcome.
Wow. And I know you'd probably expect to hear this. They're all fantastic plans. I mean, each one is going to offer something uniquely different depending upon, again, the buyer's wants and needs. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, this model that we're sitting in, which is our Continental, it's a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath with a loft upstairs. Certainly a popular plan. We see that a lot, though, in our communities. Typically, whatever the decorated model often is the front runner, right? Because back again, it's what people see, and it's easy to visualize, and so
we lose that imagination the older we get.
Exactly. The nice thing, though, is just about any plan that we offer here, even if you can't see it here in a finished stage, chances are somewhere in our Columbus division, we've either got it as a decorated model that you can go over and take a look at, or we've got it in another community that it's in a far enough along stage that you could go. So again, one of the nice things that we have to offer, folks have the ability, really just about any home to be able to see. We also do virtual tours online as well, a lot of interior images. So again, just gives folks the ability, hopefully, to be able to see that home in a completed stage.
So probably things you would have been excited to have 20 years ago when you started over across the road.
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, between technology and the advancements of things. I mean, I remember the days of doing purchase agreements, by hand, and everybody's signing in wet ink, and those days are gone. Again, back to the process being easy. Everything's done electronically now. Mm-hmm. You sign your purchase agreement electronically.
And the records are so much easier, and all that.
You provide your earnest money deposit electronically. I mean, the days of having to write a check in front of you are gone. So again, just trying to streamline and simplify the process.
Yeah, for sure. So maybe not a favorite floor plan. What about a favorite feature? It's one thing I remember early on back in the day coming through when I got into this. Kind of the nooks and crannies. Like what's the term for the desk, or do you have a?
Yeah, our little workspace in the homes is, well, on a floor plan it's going to be called the PPC. And it's always fun when folks come in and they've looked at our floor plans in advance, and they always question, now what's the PPC? Well, that stands for Pulte Planning Center. So it's a dedicated space within the majority of our homes, not all of our homes, but most of them, usually somewhere nearby the kitchen. And it's just a nice work area. You want
to pay bills, whatever.
Surf the internet. It's also, if you've got school-age children, it's a great homework spot that is still down close to the rest of the family, close to the
if
kitchen.
You're cooking here, you can see that from over there. So
exactly. And they're not sitting at the island maybe while you're trying to prepare dinner and potentially being in the way, right? So
yeah.
And I've actually had folks too, with so many people since COVID, right, now working from home.
Yep.
We often have where, 2 members of a family may be working from home. So they're looking for 2 spaces in the home where they can, do their daily work and do their job. So this is also a space for many that works out perfect. And then we may also have, say, a flex or a den space. So we can accommodate those needs as well.
Workspaces.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think there's some, it's nice to have a professional place to work when you're at home, and to be able to feel like you're in an office environment and professional. And then it's nice to kind of have I'm just kind of halfway work and,
Yeah.
and kind of work on stuff. And so it's good to have a variety of
Yeah.
options and not be pigeon-toed into one spot to go. So other features or add-ons or things that you think
Yeah.
are very trendy or very
Yeah. Well, the kitchen as we're sitting in front of it, is probably more often than not the hot spot of the home anymore.
especially with this layout right here.
If you think about the
Just
open
like the last one.
designs and so many families, that's where they spend a lot of time. If you're entertaining and having people over, we all know before the night's over, you're gathered around the island, right? You're
I think I've done that at your house.
Yeah, I think you have as well, a couple times. So again, the kitchen has become a very important space. So typically, if folks are going to spend money on any type of additional upgrades or options, we often see that being one of the top spaces. I'll tell you another thing that has become extremely popular is the luxury vinyl plank flooring. It's a more cost-effective option than, say, doing the engineered hardwoods. It's a lot more durable and resistant. And it looks fantastic. I mean, so many people are doing that, and you'll notice in this model, we've run it through the entire first level. That's another thing that we're seeing become pretty common anymore. Very seldom are you seeing folks, keep carpet anywhere on the first level. So
I'm a fan.
yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
And then maybe one of the other, there's so many great features in our homes, but another that I know people like is in the owner's bathroom, there's an option to do this giant oversized walk-in shower.
One of those.
Yeah, and it's tiled on the walls and tiled on the floor and has a bench seat built in. And so that's another feature that, again, if folks are looking to dress up and maybe have a little more luxury, right, in their owner's bathroom and kind of treat themselves, that's another feature that has become, I think, very popular.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So one thing I'm always interested to learn more about and the technology and abilities that it has is the smart capabilities. And you guys get into any of that?
We do. Yeah. In fact, every home is pre-wired to be smart home ready. So in your basement, we not only have your electric service panel, but there's an additional kind of low voltage panel that's included right beside that. So that's where all of your cable and your internet are going to feed into the home from the outside. But then from that point, we're pre-wiring a cable and an Ethernet jack heading into typically your gathering room, but customers have the ability to place that anywhere in the home that they want. But then we're also running an Ethernet cable, as an example, on a 2-story home to the first floor ceiling and then to the second floor ceiling, and we're capping that, and that's all included in advance. So the idea is that when you move in with that service box in the basement, you can now have your primary router located there, and then with your connections that are already run, the Ethernet connections, you can connect a wireless access point or booster, right, on your first floor ceiling and on your second floor ceiling. And so now you're set up for that Wi-Fi
coverage,
to have it, a blanket coverage throughout the entire home. So again, just thinking ahead, knowing where we are with technology these days and the importance of being able to have smart components in the home. Those are all things, again, that pre-wiring is there and included with the base pricing of the home.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing some of the abilities that smart home things have and the net zero houses and especially some of the experimental things that you see in some of the houses that have certain goals to proof of concept kind of things.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
I was going to say something else that as it relates to the smart home that we're doing out here, and this is something new. The previous community I was in, we were not doing this, but we're including a smart thermostat with your home, again, in the base pricing, and then also at the front door, a Ring doorbell. Yeah. So again, just trying to think.
Since they're common these days,
that's
everybody.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, that's one thing I really love about a house is the utility of a house, especially when you can pair form and function and how things look and quality and all of those things. But when what you put in a Ring for the security and it's not stability. I guess security is the best word I'm looking for, of just being able to kind of check on things and see things and all of those that bring utility and the experience that we have in our lives. One of the things I like to say is love where you live, and whether that is loving your community and the people around you or the house that you have and what that is, because maybe not everybody's interested in real estate and making a move and whatever, but at the same time, talking about how can you get more out of your house, more out of your community, and those are the features that can get there. So doing that from the beginning, obviously.
Right.
Smart move.
Built in.
Yes. So what would be, if you had to narrow down 1 to 3 of your top tips? I mean, sometimes I've heard for every year of your experience in doing this, let's get 20 tips. But let's narrow it down to
let's not do
a few.
20.
For somebody going through the process, somebody interested in exploring.
So my top tips for the customer, is that what you're saying coming in?
To have to get to the end of the process, and I guess maybe tips to avoid the 3 most common challenges or problems, or just 3 things to do to have a better experience.
You know what? One of the things that immediately comes to mind, and I think back to when my wife and I started looking for our very first home, which eventually became a new build. But I think the thought process initially is that it's new and I can't afford that. So I need to look at an existing home only. I know that was us, right? And it's actually the complete opposite of that, right? New homes are just as affordable as existing homes. And in fact, and I know we were talking about this here a little bit ago before we got started, is as a builder, one of the incentives that we offer is we have our own affiliate lender, right? And with that comes, not only is it an easier process if you work with our lender, but there are incentives available to help you with either paying for your closing costs, right? That's a significant out-of-pocket expense that you would have elsewhere that's now eliminated. Or you can use those dollars to buy the interest rate down. People have heard, oh, well, you have to pay points, right? And that what that is contributing extra dollars to buy the interest rate down lower than current market rates. So those are advantages too with new. So often folks, kind of once they get over that initial stigma and decide to visit, I think are often surprised to find that the affordability is as much, if not better, than what you're looking at on the existing market. Not to mention earlier too, you said there literally is just not much available on the existing market right now.
Yep, especially to match what you want. If I think a fair amount of buyers that are still out there are looking for a long-term home.
Yeah.
And those options are fairly slim. So being able to.
So maybe tip number 1 is literally make new part of your process, right? It may not be for everyone, but like my wife and I, we didn't think we could do it. And once we went in, had a chance to visit, and this has been years ago, but once we did that and realized that we were capable of purchasing a new home, not to mention, several of the homes we had visited previously that were on the existing market, there were things about them that, maybe weren't quite right for us, and we were going to have to invest additional dollars when we got in. So again, being able to come in and pick your home site and pick your home and pick your options and your colors and really personalize it and make it the way that you want. So again, tip number 1 is just make new construction part of your process and evaluate your options, right?
I heard it recently, empower yourself with knowledge, because if you don't know, you can't make a decision.
Yeah.
So, or don't have the preconceived notion that it doesn't work if you haven't looked and investigated.
Exactly.
Do yourself the favor and try it out.
So be open to the opportunity, and you might just be surprised on what you learn and may find yourself in a brand new home.
And the other thing, I sometimes fall into this category. If you're out there watching and listening to 2 salespeople and thinking, well, they're just selling me, all you got to do is say no. So it doesn't hurt to have the conversation, and that's one thing I try to push people towards, or pull people. I like to pull people and not push people.
Right, exactly.
Encourage people to just dialogue and have a conversation. Be an active participant in whatever you're doing. Because there's many professionals out there that are really just tasked with helping make things easier, streamline, and a better experience and better end outcome, whatever that might be. So don't be scared.
Exactly.
We don't bite.
I mean, I've always looked at myself more as a consultant than as a salesperson.
Yep, I think we talked about that last time.
Yep, I think we did as well. So,
and that's why I think I said consultant at the beginning of this. I would agree with that philosophy, and provide you with information, and then you make the decision.
Yeah.
Yep. So, any tip number 2 or 3, or
tip number 2 or 3? I knew you were going to come back and.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Or phrase something to maybe help spur things along?
Yes.
Compromise is the one that I usually go with, especially just one, the complexity of a house. You're rarely going to find something that you don't have to compromise on. So let's compromise at the beginning so we can understand what we're after. Because the sooner you do that, the sooner you can be in a house. And especially with the challenging market we're getting into. I mean, we've been in a challenging market, and it's just shifting to a different type of challenge that we need to have solutions to overcome and get through things. Understanding and not waiting for that perfect house can help have a better understanding and relieve some anxiety of, am I making the right decision? If you make the decision before you get into that emotional state of, oh my, what do I have to do? I mean, am I making the right decision? Kind of like we were talking earlier.
Yeah.
So anyway, I would assume in all the potential decisions you can make in picking your finishes and all the different things that you might want to do with a house, with the new build.
Absolutely.
Compromise.
Yeah, and I think there's probably always going to be some concessions, right? I mean, we all have a budget. We all hit a point.
That sounds a little better. I like concessions.
Yes.
Thanks.
We all hit a point where we go, okay, I'm at my peak. I don't want to go above this, and there's some things in the home that I've factored in that, you know what, in hindsight maybe aren't must-haves. Be nice to have them, but I don't need them. So, point number 2. So you led me right into it. That was good. Is focus first and foremost, I always say to folks, on the structural components of the home. So on a new build, things like, we start with an 8-foot basement as an example. Do I want that to be 9 foot, right? That's something you're either doing now or you're never doing later, right?
It's a little easier to change the carpet.
Change the flooring or change a countertop later.
Course
Absolutely.
of block.
So yeah, do you want a sunroom? Do you want a gathering room extension? Do you want a fireplace, right? So those are the things that either you can't do later, or if you're going to try to do later, are going to cost you considerably more to do them.
Very cost prohibitive.
Exactly. So I think that's the second part is, focus first and foremost on the structural components of your home. I always talk to folks and say, guys, ideally, hopefully, this is a home that you and your family are going to be able to be in for many years to come. So in other words, if you were going with the highest end countertop, so spending money to get the highest end countertop versus putting that money into, again, an extension, that may be the difference between your family as it grows, being able to stay there for years versus being back in a situation where now you've outgrown your home and you're back in the market again, right? Which I'd love to help you a second time, but at the same time, right? I mean, hopefully that's something where, again, when I move in, we can raise our family, our kids can grow up here, they can graduate from high school, and hopefully maybe, again, speaking of families, your next move isn't until you're the empty nester, and now maybe you're looking to downsize into something that's more appropriate.
You got the other side.
Yeah.
So my favorite phrase for that, maybe you've heard this before, buy once, cry once. Have you heard that?
I haven't, but that's good.
So when I was looking for woodworking equipment, the philosophy came up of, I want to get, and it applies to camera equipment or trucks or cars or houses or whatever. Depending on who you are, but for a lot of us, I think if you want to get into something and you cheap out and then you cry because it didn't go well and it wasn't the experience you wanted and something broke, and then you still have to spend more money to buy something else, or it just wasn't up to the quality or standards that you were looking for, just buy something that's nice once, cry about it once, and then get to enjoy it.
Absolutely.
So a lot of times I try to go there because
Yeah. Well, what's the old saying too? You get what you pay for, right? So
you can get what you pay for.
So do it right the first time. I'm happy to report in my 20 years, and I'm trying to think back to make sure I'm accurate. The only tears I've had when people have purchased with me actually have been happy tears.
Tears
they were
of
excited.
joy.
I haven't had anyone crying in front of me because they were, sad or unhappy about the decision that they had made.
So how often are you invited to that, or how does that process work? I guess I've never been there.
Invited to what?
When somebody gets the keys to the house, like you show up
back into so I've been fortunately invited into many folks' homes after they've closed. Often it's, hey, give us a chance to get moved in and get things situated. Don't come while we're in the middle of our move and have boxes all over the place. But that actually is a joy for me as well, because that kind of brings everything full circle.
Right.
To be able to I help them to find that place where they're going to spend
Memories.
holidays and birthday parties and, watch the kids grow up and, I mean, you name it. But to be able to come back into that space and see how they furnished it and designed it. And in some cases, folks are like, hey, we finished our basement. I'd love for you to come see what we've done with it. And again, it's exciting to be part of that process and to be welcomed, into that.
Well, and I think as what we do, a lot of it, like we talked last time, I think about relationships and building rapport and being valued by those folks for your consulting abilities or your advice. So having that confirmation that you were valuable enough to bring back and they valued your input or opinion or whatever.
Yeah. I just had a couple, which makes me think of what we're talking about this past weekend. They're relocating into the area from out of state. And over the weekend, they visited Leon's and saw one of the local bands and had nothing but great things to say. But anyway, they decided to move forward with a home purchase over the weekend. And as we were wrapping up and getting to talking, I was asking them about their experience at Leon's. And again, they really enjoyed it. And they said, hopefully we can do that together someday. And so again, the relationship and the bond that we formed in a short amount of time and the connection that we had. So again, it goes deeper than buying and selling homes, right? It is about building relationships and building long-lasting relationships. As you know as well in this business, referrals are huge. And, a lot of our business comes from just that. So I've been fortunate in doing this 20 years to work with people on, a second home on top of their first. But I've also worked with many people that I probably never would have met had it not been for someone else who worked with me and referred their friends or family or coworkers on. So,
and that's one thing I am seeing more and more of is more family moving in. Oh, my grandkids are here, my kids are here, or my brother or my sister or whatever. And, so it's a nice testament to the community that at Marysville as a whole in the area that people are wanting to come here. They're hearing what their other family members are experiencing, so they want to be a part of that. Yeah. One of my best friends started out as a client, so that was a nice experience to go through. But referrals and just the network and that's part of sales is connecting dots and
absolutely
whether it be picking a floor plan or the right community or whatever it is for you, and it's connecting people with what they need and consulting them through that.
Providing a service.
All right, well, we're probably close to time. Do you have a third and final tip? Okay, so one last question. What maybe your 20 years of experience can answer this, or maybe you got some perspective here. I guess one thing to say, Mill Valley, I don't know, 2,000 houses, whatever is over there now.
Right.
And how long, to me, it's taken for Cooks Point and things to go on over there between Route 4 and Route 31. Amenities that are, what parks and what outside of just houses, like what's the Amrine Meadows community?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of green space, the ponds throughout. Something that I'm really excited about, and so far in sharing this, our customers and buyers have been excited about as well. But we're going to have a walking trail that, so not only sidewalks throughout the community, but a designated walking trail that kind of weaves and meanders throughout the community, back out and around the ponds. There'll be designated stopping points where folks can, sit down, take a break, relax, just kind of enjoy the day. Then, of course, we're close by to so many things, and that's another thing I'm hearing frequently with people who are considering and purchasing in this community. Obviously, easy access to 33 to get to Honda if that's where you're employed, back into Dublin, back into 270, and then of course the popular Uptown Marysville area, right? Which is, I've been so impressed with that over the last several years of just how that has become a destination point now. So much development in the Uptown area.
Lots going on.
Yeah, places to go. I always talk about the in the summer months here, the Uptown Friday nights. If I've got customers moving in, say from other areas, the Balloon Fest. So again, the zoo is what 15 20 minutes away tops. So, I mean, again, I was joking with some folks this weekend and they actually brought it up, but they're like, geez, Marysville feels like it's about 30 minutes from everywhere. Like no matter what direction you go, you're 30 minutes from.
If you stretch that just a little bit, you're pretty much there.
Yeah. So,
and that's what I've always said is we've got the best of both worlds. I'm 9 miles north. You're a little bit farther, and you can get up in that area and be out in the rural country, and then you can go the other way just about as far and be into Dublin and all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
And that's one thing. There's been a joke I've heard of 33 being the Great Wall that Mill Valley and Scott Farms folks don't always venture into the uptown, and that's definitely changed in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
That used to be more prevalent. So if you are buying in this community, make sure you get into the uptown. I mean, you can still go to Dublin and do all that stuff, but there's a lot of great things here to stay, and especially keep your dollars local, support local, all that.
Absolutely.
Hopefully you're into that. But yeah, lots of great things going on. The Uptown Friday nights and all the things you mentioned are very good things, and it's a great community. And that's why, at the end of the day, that's why this community is growing. At least I believe that's the biggest reason it's growing compared to other suburbs. We've got proximity and all the things, but I think there's just so many good things going on. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Oh, one last plug. As this community grows, I'm friends with the folks that own the greenhouse over here, and they've talked about the future. And it's going all the way over to 4, right?
No. So we're about halfway to 4, and then we will run out to Amrine Woods Road.
Okay. So, but I guess obviously it's going to go all the way over there, but just their future of trying to become a kind of a community spot for this area and just being able to be
absolutely
something that was. So go over to Dutch Mill Greenhouse.
Yes,
I'll plug them.
My wife loves Dutch Mill Greenhouse.
That's where I'm going next. To
my
pick
wallet,
up some
not so much, but
Bob appreciates it.
Yes, he does, and he's a great guy as well.
Yeah, one of the many local good businesses. So if you're not coming this way, that's another plug.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else to ramble on about. Thanks so much for rambling with me and talking.
I appreciate it. It's amazing how quickly the time goes. I know when we sit down sometimes and you go, okay, we're gonna talk for this long. We're like, what are we gonna talk about? But
and then 38 minutes later, it flies by.
We need to make cuts. So
make it a little more streamlined. Yes. So if there's anything we can do for you, reach out to either of us. Like I said, he's been doing it for 20 years. I'm in this for 10. So whatever we can do to help you, be a consultant for you, hopefully we can do that. And whether you want to find about us you love, sell when you don't, or just love your community a little bit more, I'm here to help. Like this video if you do, subscribe if you haven't, do all that stuff, and love to sit and talk with you next time. So if you want to fill that seat, let me know. Take care.